Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Insignificant Stoic here. In today's video, we're going to dive right into uh, Stoic logic. And we're going to look into specifically how Diogenes Laertius, in his seventh book, describes it. And a few things before we get started. Want to note on approach. I cannot explain to you absolutely everything in Stoic logic. That would be a class or a book. I have 5 to 10 minutes to hold your attention, and after that, so I want to give you as much bang for the buck as I can. So if you want to know more, pass some gold on to the people who translate and write good books. Second thing I want to say is I may, from time to time, use a word that you haven't heard me use before. In this case, I might say the word aspect. Just so you know, the word aspect is another word for division. So when you talk about the three divisions of Stoic philosophy, it's also the three aspects. And the last thing I'm going to bring up before we get started is you will see that there are Stoics who come after Zeno who have more than three divisions, okay? But those extra divisions, they really are just subdivisions of the original three divisions of logic, physics, and ethics. Okay, they fit under there. Now, Diogenes Laertius, the way he covers logic, Stoic logic in his book, he basically goes through all the different divisions or aspects and their subdivisions and their subdivisions and subdivisions ad nauseum. I mean, you can get as granular as you want, and it really depends upon the individual philosopher, whether there's Stoic philosopher in our case, any philosopher, the individual philosopher and him writing how he lists those things. Okay. Excuse me. So Diogenes Diogenes actually goes over the six things that I mentioned. Well, some of them anyway, more or less. It's hard to keep track of him. And just for an idea, I will say that he puts these things under the category of logic. Canons and criteria, division and differences between impressions, science of definitions, impressions, rhetoric, perception, all these things, okay? But they're really, and this is going to sound stupid, but it's really important that I mention it. You have three subdivisions, and everything under each of those, or three divisions, and everything under each of those divisions, in this case logic, everything that is mentioned under logic relates to the main division. That sounds stupid, I know. But when you use philosophical language, when you're looking at a philosophy or different philosophies and try to understand it, relationship, connections, correlations, they're all very important because there are things in Hellenistic philosophy that are playing underneath that the words themselves don't convey. And for that, you have to just kind of get a feel, and that what you're trying to feel for, what you're feeling is connections, okay? So it's very meta, all right? Anyway, so I'm not going to go through all those things that he said, but I am going to go through just one of these subdivisions, so that you can get a feel for how Stoic logic works, and also, again, pointing out relationships, how this relates to the whole, okay? So Diogenes Laertius is quoting Diocles of Magnesia in his Synopsis of Philosophers, and he says, "For perception leads the way, or perception leads the way, and then comes thought," so perception and then thought, "which finds vent in expressions." So, in other words, then comes expression, which comes from thoughts, which is based upon the perception, and explains in words the feelings which it derives from perception. So, Diogenes is setting up for us a system. It's based upon an observation of man. So, Man, like I said, lives in the cosmos, right? And everything we know is in the cosmos. Man is able to perceive other things that are in the cosmos. So, my cat, my black cat, a rock, a man, a dog, anything. You can perceive those things. You can also perceive things that you don't see or don't appeal to the senses. If I say my cat is a black cat, you've got an image in your mind of what a black cat is. You don't need to see my cat Ike, right? You just know what a black cat is. So you can perceive Ike, okay, my cat, but you don't have to actually see him. So there's two kinds of perceptions. There's the intellectual perception, which is Ike's not there, but you still know what a black cat is. And then the other one is sensory perception, which deals upon the plays upon the four senses, right? That creates the impression in us. I'm going to strictly deal with the sensory perception because it gets kind of hairy in the intellectual perceptions, imagination, and stuff like that. This is much easier to explain, show you. So we have perception, so we perceive things that are in the cosmos. We see a cat, we know that's a cat, it goes in our head, okay, that's a cat. The key here to understand that, first of all, is that we are in the cosmos, right? Man is in the cosmos. He perceives a cat, which is in the cosmos, right? What do you think that deals with? Cosmology, right? It's cosmology. In this case, physics, they call it, but it's cosmology. It deals with the cosmos. So once you perceive my cat, Ike, you see him, you have a thought about him, right? So you like cats. You go, oh, there's a nice black cat. You hate cats. Oh, crap, there's a cat. You make it a judgment. That's a good cat, that's a bad cat, right? You have thoughts about it and you judge. You make a judgment. Those thoughts are judgments, right? What do you think that relates to? It's thought. Well, it relates to logic, right? It relates to the logos. It relates to the division of logic. Then what does he say happens? So you have that, you perceive the cat, you make a judgment about that cat, and then you have an expression. What is an expression? Well, if you have a good judgment about the cat, you say a positive judgment, you say, oh, a cat, nice cat. You might go over and pet it. I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing that to my cat. My cat is not a pettable cat, my one cat. Like, you might go over and pet it, right? Or you might think, oh crap, a cat, and run away, all right? What is that action? Well, that's ethics, because that's what you do in ethics. It's acting, right? So you can see here the correlation that this subdivision within logic, perception, thought, and expression, you can see how it correlates to the whole, right? Because the three parts, three divisions, logic, physics, and ethics, are expressed in perception, thought, and expression. So it's almost like, when they have a mirror and a mirror and a mirror and a mirror and a mirror, it's reflective. Everything reflects that whole image. It's kind of cool, actually, when you think about it. It's almost like, let's look at it this way. It's like if you were balancing an equation, you have two sides of an equal sign. What you say on one side, you have to say on the other, right? You have to equal them out. And so here what you see is this Diocles is describing Stoic logic, but he's using the other two divisions of cosmology, right? Because we perceive in the cosmos, and we're perceiving something in the cosmos, and we ourselves in the cosmos. And he's using expression, which is ethics, to describe logic, logos. So you see how all that fits together, right? That's what logic does. Logos like I said in a previous video, ties together cosmology and ethics. It informs them both in a way. And actually, the philosophers don't do this, but if you sit down and think about it, remember I said in the beginning of the video, Zeno has three categories or three aspects or three divisions, and some others have six? If you really, really think about it, there's only one that you need: logos. That is actually a hint as to what's coming in the future. I told you before, logos becomes very important. It expands. So keep that in mind. Hey, have a great day.